This is the geometry review for Unit 5. So here we're going to look at the sum of the measures of the interior angles of a polygon with this many sides. 10 different sides, so a decagon some would call it. But your formula for the sum of the interior angles, n minus 2 times 180, is the formula to calculate the total angles inside the polygon. Well, if we have 10 sides, so that's 8 times 180. When using our calculator, we have 8 times 180. That gives us 1,440. So that's the total sum of the inside of a 10-sided figure. If you have a 13-sided figure, then we're going to use 13 minus 2. That tells us the number of triangles that can be formed, and each triangle is worth 180. So then that's 11 times 180. That gives us 1980. Then we're down to 17, or I guess up to 17 sides. 17 minus 2. So that's 15 times 180. So if your polygon has 17 sides on it, when you draw the diagonals from one vertex, you form 15 triangles, and each triangle has 180 degrees. That gives you 2,700 degrees. A little degree marker on each one of these. So that's an important formula. N minus 2 times 180 is sum of interior angles. That's the interior angles. Now we have a regular polygon. This polygon has 11 different sides. It's regular. That's very important. That tells us that all the angles and all the sides are the same measurement. We're looking for the sum. Well, n minus 2 times 180 equals the sum of the interior. Okay, that's an important formula like we just said. So 11 minus 2, that's 9 times 180. And that gives us 1,620. Now we want to know the measurement of each exterior angle. Well, each exterior angle, if you take the 360, now remember, this is a regular polygon. That means that all the angles inside are exactly the same measurement, which would mean all the angles on the outside are the exact same measurement. And we're going to divide that by the 11 angles. If it has 11 sides, it has 11 angles. So the sum of the exterior angles is 360, and if we cut them all up evenly between the 11 possible angles, you get 3272. If you round that up, you get 3273. Round to the nearest hundredth. It's pretty common. Now if we're going to find each interior, one quick way to do that is the interior angle and the exterior angle are always supplementary. Always 180 between an exterior and an interior. So you could take 180 and subtract your 3273, This would probably be the fastest way to do it. Our previous answer was this 3272. So if we take 180 and subtract the previous answer, we're going to get 147.27. Those are degrees. Here we're looking for the measure of each interior angle. If each interior angle is 170, each being a regular polygon, okay, that would imply that it has to be a regular polygon. If each interior angle is 170, it's kind of a lengthy process. We take the n minus 2 times 180 and we divide it by the number of angles. That is how you calculate each interior angle. So we're trying to figure out what's the number of sides if each interior angle is 170. So you would multiply by the denominator, then we distribute the 180 through, subtract the 170n, that gives us 10n. We're going to add the 360, and when we divide by 10 we get 36. So it is 36 sides. 36 gon, we might call it. Okay, another way that you could consider this is if this is your interior, then 180 minus your 135 gives us 45 for the exterior. Well, the exterior formula is a lot easier. That's your 360 divided by n. And all you got to do is multiply and divide. So we get 8 sides. Octagon. So if each interior angle is 160, (180) minus the 160 is going to give us 20, which is your exterior angle. So you know that if all the angles on the outside add up to 360, divided by the number of angles is going to give you each exterior angle. So the zeros cross out, and this goes in there 18 times. So this is an 18. So 18 gone. So doing the calculations using the exterior angle is definitely an advantage. Well, here we can do it a few more times. I'll speed this up a little bit. So we multiply by the n to both sides. We divide by the 15. So we take our 360 and divide it by 15, and we see we get 24. So that's called a 24gon. That's the number of sides that it would have. If each exterior angle is 120, you might be able to visualize what this would be. So we multiply by the n. We divide by the 120. We get 3. So we could call that a triangle. You go ahead and try this one. Each exterior angle is 6. You can pause the video and then you can start it back up. So apparently this shape would have 60 sides to it. The smaller the exterior angle, the more sides it's going to have. The larger the interior angle, the more sides it's going to have. Alright? Now we're looking to find the value of x. Well, the first thing we look at is the number of sides that this has. Very important. So if it has 4 sides, that's a quadrilateral. The sum of the interior equals 360. We know that for every quadrilateral. We really don't have to do a formula. If you need to do it, n minus 2 times 180, go ahead. Then we can say 108 plus x plus 87 plus 72. That adds up to 360. So we'll take our 108 plus our 87 plus our 72 gives us 267. Subtract that across. Take our 360 and subtract our previous answer. Get 93. So our missing angle is 93. Value of x. Alright, now this one is different. It says an angle here, so it is slanted a little bit. So this has 5 sides. So you've got to do 5 minus 2 times 180. So that is 3 times 180. That is 540. So now we can take this 64 and the 3x and the 86 and the 110 and the 2x and equal them to 540. So we're going to take our 64 and our 86 and our 110. That adds up to 260. 2x's and 3x's and 2x's give us 5x's plus 260, like we said, equals 540. So we take our 540, that's the total angles, and we subtract the amount that we have, the previous number, gives us 280. Divide by 5. You get 56 for your value of x. Alright, you go ahead, pause the video, see if you can put this one together. Come on back and check out how you do. First we're going to count the number of sides. 7 sides. So you know you're going to do 7 minus 2 times 180. That's 5 times 180. Come across with 900. So we're going to say x plus 2x plus 156 plus 133 plus 99 plus 112 plus 145. That equals 900. Well, we take our calculator. We take our 156, 133, 99, 112, and the 145. Don't forget all the angles. Adds up to 645. So 1x to 3x is total. And we subtract the 645. So when we subtract the 645, $900 minus your previous answer gives us $255. Divide by 3. So x is going. That goes in there 8 times with 1 left over. Goes in there 5 times. So 85. The value of x would be 85. What do you see is different about this shape? The angles that they're giving us are on the outside. So we know that 360 always sum of exterior angles. 360 is always that sum. So we're going to say that 152 plus 137 plus x equals equals 360. And we'll bring in our calculator. We'll take a look at 152, 137, so we know that this adds up to 289. Subtract your 289. So that's going to be 11 until it gets up to there. So 71. 360 minus your previous answer, 71. Okay, what do you see here? Try to make your own decisions. How are you going to solve for x? The number of angles really doesn't matter. You just know that the sum of the interior is always 360. So this exterior angle is 20. This one is 100 and 60 and 8x and 8x, 6x. So those are all the exterior angles added up to 360. So we'll take the 20 plus the 100 plus the 60 and we divide let me take a real quick look at this. That was just, 180. And no dividing. Sorry. We just have the 20 and the 100 and the 60, which makes 180. That's 16 plus 6 more is 22. It'll be divided soon enough. Now we're going to subtract the 180. Well, that's pretty simple. And that would be 22x, by the way. We divide by 22. So 360 divided by 22 gives us 16.36. One way you could test that, if you care to go this far into it, you could take the 60 and the 8 times your answer plus the 6 times your answer. Oh, look at that. Now since I'm noticing, these are 6's, and I wrote 8, 8, and 6, but it should have been 8, 6, and 6. No wonder I got a funny value. This would be a 6, which would make this a 20, make these a 20, and this comes out to be 18. Now if you wanted to test that, alright, let me show you what would have happened. We would have done 20 plus 100 plus 60 plus 8 times our answer plus 8 times our answer. Remember I had 2 ways before. Plus 6 times your answer. We didn't get the right number. We got something as a different value. But now we're going to use 18. 20 plus 100 plus 60 plus 8 times 18 plus 6 times 18 plus 6 times 18. That should give us 360. And it didn't. Here, we subtracted 180 from 360. This should be 180. Wow. I'm glad we thought about checking our work here, huh? Checking your work can sometimes be handy. Gotta stay awake. So, we'll just check it one more time. Why not? So we're saying it's 9 plus 6 times 9 plus 6 times 9, and that should give me 360. You can check your answers. Alright, so here you know the sum is 360. There's not a lot of room here, but we'll do the best we can. We got 59, we've got 2x, we've got another 59, and a 54, and an x, and an 80. And this has to equal the sum of the exterior angles, which is always 360. So we'll take our calculator and add up the 59, the 59, the 54, and the 80. So that gives us 252 plus, we got 2 x's and then a third x. So we have our 360 minus the 252. Gives us 108. And 3 goes into 10 3 times, with 1 left over. 3 goes in there 6 times. So x would have to be 36. On the flip side, we're going to classify our parallelograms. We look at this one. We see that the diagonals bisect each other and they're perpendicular. Okay, all the rhombuses have this. If quad has diagonals that bisect and are perpendicular, then it is a rhombus. It would be a square if the diagonals were the same length. But since they're not the same length, they don't have the same tick marks. We just see that they bisect each other and they're perpendicular. Bisect is any parallelogram. Perpendicular is just things with equal lengths of sides, like a square and a rhombus. Okay. We're told that this is a parallelogram. So if this is a parallelogram for sure, we would need to know that. If you have one right angle, you know that consecutive angles are supplementary, so they have to add up to 180 and add up to 180 and add up to 180. So if quad has 4 right angles, then it is a rectangle. Okay, we know that this is a parallelogram. In a parallelogram, we know that opposite sides are congruent. This is one tick mark, so opposite sides are congruent. So now we know that all the sides are congruent. And we know that the consecutive angles are supplementary in a parallelogram. Opposite angles are congruent in a parallelogram. So here we have if quad has 4 congruent sides and 4 right angles, then it is a square. Okay, what do you see with this? Here they have the tick marks. They tell us it's a parallelogram, so opposite angles are congruent, opposite sides are congruent. Alright? If quad has 4 congruent sides, then it is a rhombus. Here we have diagonals that are bisecting each other, and the bisectings are all the same length, so they're equal in terms of their length. So you know this is a rectangle. Alright. Here, if you look carefully, the diagonals bisect each other, and they bisect each other, which is making them the same length, and they're perpendicular. That didn't happen here. The diagonals are the same length, but they're not perpendicular. Here, the diagonals are the same length, which makes it a rectangle, and they're perpendicular, which makes it a rhombus. So if quad has congruent diagonals and perpendicular diagonals, then it is a square. Alright, this is called the mid-segment. This guy here is called a mid-segment. So the mid-segment is equal to half the sum of the parallel sides, the sum of the two bases. These are both even numbers, so I can distribute that through to make life easy. Take half of the 4 and take half of the 16. So x equals 2. Take your bases, add them together. So the mid-segment equals half of base 1 plus base 2. We're taking half of that. So now these aren't even numbers. 7x. So I'm going to multiply by 2. I'm going to call this 40. Then I can collect like terms. I can subtract over my 12 and divide by 7, and x equals 4. Alright, we're supposed to figure out our mid-segment, so RT equals half the sum of the parallel sides. That was like an 18 to me. So 18 plus 22 is 40. So RT has to equal 20. Half of the 40 is 20. Alright, that's been a little bit now. I'll finish up on another video. Rewind it, look over some things that you're not certain about. You're going to do a great job.